Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Lamborghini Sian made by Bburago. I got this model from Sam's Club for $17 in total. I thought that was an excellent deal. This model comes in a variety of colors. This is the awesome matte green that the real car came in, I think, as its initial launch version. When Lamborghini unveiled the Sian back in 2019, this was the color that they used for whatever auto show that was at. You can find it in this green that you see here. Sam's Club also currently has an exclusive white version with kind of the same colored wheels and interior. I'm not sure if the white's a matte white or if it's more of like a pearlescent white, but it does look pretty cool. It also comes in kind of a dark matte red. Might be another color or two that I'm missing, but they're kind of the three main colors, at least currently, that you can get this model in. In addition to finding this model at wholesale clubs for under $20, you can find this model elsewhere online for usually between $35 and $50. I think Bburago did an excellent job with this model as a whole, and this is definitely one of their better done releases in recent years, and I think it's well worth paying, $40 or $50 for. I probably wouldn't pay that much more than $50, but I think overall this is an excellent buy, and we'll kind of get into that as we go throughout the review here. So Lamborghini is only going to be making 63 Sians. I believe that's both coupes and roadsters. They're currently technically still in production. I think now they're doing the roadsters, but they began production in 2020. So this will be based off a 2020 or a 2021 model year car, if this were the real car right here. But Bburago, I think, did an overall excellent job capturing the shape of this car. There's all kinds of like geometry and different angles and shapes and vents and things going on. And Bburago pretty much captured all of them with this model, which is just incredible to see. I think the scale is pretty accurate. It is, Bburago has been known to kind of underscale their cars at times. Like they have that Bentley Continental that's 1/19 scale. They have like a Citroen C6 that was 1/20th. Their Lamborghini Urus is a 1/20th, but this is, I think, true 1/18 scale. I did recently have this on the shelf with my Bugatti Divo, and it was a little bit bigger than the Divo, but then again, the Divo is also made by Bburago, but I think they did an accurate job with scaling the model overall, in addition to kind of having the overall shape and everything just very well executed. But in the front here, you will see that Bburago does an excellent job with these headlights, very kind of thin Y-shaped lights. There are actually a few kind of visible pegs, but having such thin, tiny lights would be kind of hard to keep in place, so I think it's okay that they have the pegs here. And honestly, from certain angles, you can't really see the pegs, but the overall shapes of the lights, I think, are very well done. Then you have this nice Lamborghini badge embossed on the hood here. It's very clearly labeled, and you can easily read it. There's kind of a tiny black smudge there, but that's probably just a factory defect. The lower grille here is also well done, have kind of a carbon fiber plastic pattern to this piece here. And this lower portion is made of metal, or a die-cast metal. The paint on this model is fantastic. Bburago really nails the matte green finish on here. It's a very unique color, and it just looks incredible, both on the real car and on the model. Aside from, there's, that little tiny black smudge there. There was a tiny scuff back here, but I think I was able to just kind of clean that off. And dust will kind of show up on this paint, so just keep that in mind if you have this out on the shelf. You do have to kind of frequently clean it, but excellent job on the paint work, I think. Bburago, I think in recent years has definitely been improving on the paint jobs with their models. On the side, you will see that Bburago does an excellent job with these kind of unique copper gold colored wheels. Spokes are all nicely molded and the wheels are very well painted. You have a tiny Lamborghini badge in the center there. The disc brake does move through the calipers. It's very hard to see because the spokes, there's so many small spokes on here. But Bburago does fully detail those features. The brake calipers are red, and the brake discs are actually kind of a darker gray. It does roll nice and smooth. You don't get suspension, and the steering isn't the best. Like, the steering works, but with Bburago's recent models, it doesn't stay in place. Like, you turn it, and then it just kind of goes back into the straight position. That's not a big deal, though, because I think they kind of make up for that with just the fact that the models roll, nice and smoothly and stuff. But if this model were made by Maisto, you would see much better suspension and steering on it. But that's just a small, I guess, little gripe there. And you can kind of have the wheels turned a slight bit if you have it up on the shelf like that. But again, not a big deal. Nice sturdy side mirrors on here. Same matte paint, but these are kind of made of like a rubbery plastic, but they're nice and sturdy. They won't be breaking off, which is nice to see. And on the roof, you do have that kind of small glass right here. It's not actually glass in the model, it's made of plastic, but the real Sian does have that I don't know if you call it a sunroof or what. And the Bugatti Chiron has a similar feature, although on that one you can get 2 of them kind of over each seat. But nice touch on there for sure. Excellent, job with kind of the carbon fiber texturing. You have some down here, you have some inside the intake here, all done in kind of separately cast plastic pieces. And then back here you do have the 63 emblem in gold. I think that's for the number of units that this car will be made, or I think that represents the number of units that will be made of the real car. Then you have kind of that nice piece going along up here. And then here you have a very tiny Sian FKP37. Yeah, the full name of the car is Lamborghini Sian FKP37. I think I just said Sian, but that's the full name. I guess it's just Sian for short, but Bburago does kind of capture that very nicely. And then on this side, you actually get an Italian flag. Very cool attention to detail. Bburago probably could have skipped out on these 2 things because they're so small and thin, and nobody would have known the better, but I think it's excellent that they put those extra little touches on there that the real car would have. In the back, nice job with this engine cover, since that's kind of surrounding that, and then you have a separately cast fuel cap. Actually, I'm sorry, that's not separately cast. It's actually integrated into the metalwork, but it does kind of seem like it's a separately cast piece. Would have been kind of cool to see a separate plastic piece on there, but at least it is the overall right shape and size. Bburago, I think, did a good job with that. In the back here, just a menacing looking rear. You have the nicely cast taillights back here. Kind of 3 separate lenses and bulbs and stuff going on here. The exhaust pipes aren't that well done. They're kind of just cheaply molded into the plastic back here, but at least they're there and kind of like the right shape. And then you have the Sian FKP37 license plate with the little Italian flag underneath that. I never saw that before. Then you have that small Lamborghini inscription and kind of that gold finish back there. Now, this model does have a working spoiler. You can see that I have it up right now. It is made of plastic, and it's actually pretty hard to raise up and down. You have to kind of have the engine cover open. So I just went ahead and I pulled it up before I filmed this video here, just because it is kind of hard to do with, just one hand. I assume over time, as I move the spoiler back or up and down, it'll be easier to work. But I think that's a cool kind of hidden detail there. I don't think a lot of people are aware that Bburago included that touch on this model. But here it is in the up position. Now to put it down, you just kind of push on it like that. And it is very stiff and everything too. It's so stiff and flush with the body, you wouldn't even be able to tell that it's a working spoiler. I mean, this pretty much aligns perfectly with these lights back here and aligns perfectly with the back of the engine cover. I had no clue about the spoiler until I saw a review of this model. Well, the review was actually filmed a couple of years ago when the model first came out, but I did a quick look at videos of it before I bought it, and I thought that's an extra feature that I did not know about. But good on Bburago for putting that on there. So keep in mind that you will have the working spoiler. It is kind of hard to work, but it does kind of create a nice little effect when you have it up, because it kind of lines up with these 2 fins back here, which is a very cool touch. In terms of other working features on the model, you of course do have the opening front trunk up here. Opens up like so. It doesn't open up very high. Not too much to see in here. It's barely even a trunk, but the real Sian is pretty much like this. Kind of a nice smooth texture going on in there. Dogleg hinges are definitely a little bit too wide, I think, but they're kind of impossible. I mean, look at how big the holes are for the dogleg hinges. The real hood, I think, would open up. You'd have a hydraulic, I think, on this side and on that side. But at least Bburago has the opening hood. Some manufacturers skip, having the opening front trunks on their supercar models, but Bburago usually does not skip on that. But not too much to really see or say aside from that. The plastic piece in here itself is pretty flush with the body. It doesn't like move around or anything. Sometimes when you push on these pieces, they kind of move a little bit, but not the case on this model here. And then of course you do have the opening engine cover back here, which opens up like so. Bburago does an excellent job with this engine back here. They've always been kind of good, I think, with molding their engines on their models. This is certainly no exception to that. Just nicely done with the carbon fiber texture on this brace here. You kind of have multiple pieces and components throughout, all different wires and hoses and stuff going on down there. This is a V12. It says V12. I can't really read the words underneath that, but the real engine would have that kind of emblem on there. And the main block does have this kind of goldish yellow painting on there. I can't really tell what color that's supposed to be. It might be yellow. But there is some slight overspray or underspray, because the center part's kind of a carbon fiber texture, and the 2 side portions are done in yellow. It's not the smoothest paint job, but the piece itself is so small, I guess it'd be kind of hard to paint it in like a more accurate fashion. But you can actually see all the way down to the bottom of the car. There's several wires and hoses and caps up here throughout. You got some silver detailing and stuff in there too. I'm sure there's some missing components and some missing colors, but I think for a Bburago engine, this is very well done. Definitely something you would expect to see in a model that goes for upwards of $45 or $50. And then you have this rear window back here too. You do have dog legs for this rear engine cover, but they are at least thinner, slightly thinner, I guess, than the hood dog legs. So that's not a big deal, but this does hold up nicely. I wouldn't open it up too much though, because the piece itself is a bit heavy, so you might over time have issues with it actually staying up. So just keep that in mind if you do decide to get the model. And then down here, you just have some more carbon fiber texturing. Close that up. And you can kind of see a bit of the engine through these slats here. These are functioning vents, which is very cool to see. This is kind of very dark tinted clear plastic on here. I guess on the real engine cover, it'll be kind of a dark tinted glass look, but Bburago, I think, does an excellent job both with the engine cover and the engine itself. Definitely one of their better recent models as far as that goes. And then, of course, you have these really cool opening doors. To open up the doors, you just kind of pull them up lightly like this, and the hinge, the dog-leg hinge will kind of guide you the rest of the way. These open kind of upward and out slightly. The Lamborghini Aventador has kind of similar opening doors. You can kind of see it better, I think, from this side. And they do clip into place too. You can see here's a little clip that holds the door shut. And they open up like that. And speaking of the door panels are very well done. Bburago, I think, captures the overall shape, color, and texture of these very nicely. You have kind of a carbon fiber texture going on with the black portions. And you have kind of a saddle color for the center portions there, and more of a glossy finish. And the door panels, of course, are nice and flush with the actual doors. And there's a better look at that clip there. Kind of cool that these clip shut. If you turn the model upside down, the doors do not fall open, and neither does the hood. The engine cover opens like a slight bit, but I think just the fact that you have the lockable doors is a pretty cool extra feature there. They do open up on dog legs, but the doors themselves kind of hide the hinges a bit. They kind of tuck underneath the sides of the dashboard back there too, but most of Bburago's models have dog-leg hinges anyway. And this creates just an incredible effect when you have the model up on the shop. I think any Lamborghini with these doors, it's just super cool. You know, there's a good like thumbnail right there too. Even from like the back also. You can see, you know, the raised up doors and part of the interior and stuff too. Just super cool. Speaking of the interior, just more excellent detailing overall. Bburago does capture the dashboard, I think, very well. There is some slight, I think, very slight kind of paint defects up on the top there where the kind of saddle meets the black, but that's not a big deal. It'd be kind of hard, I think, to paint such a small plastic piece anyway, but you have the kind of big Lamborghini inscription on here and the Sian down here. They're both very kind of clear to read, and they're done in kind of this reflective silver paint. Actually, the Sian's done in more of a white paint, but this Lamborghini inscription is actually done in silver. You do have a nice texture on the dashboard and nicely molded vents. They even have the little switches that you use to kind of move the vents back and forth if this were the real car. And then on the center stack here, it has a very nice kind of carbon fiber look to it. You have the screen turned on. There's even a little phone symbol in the center there that you can actually make out a slight bit. All the buttons are nicely painted on. You can't really read them too well, but they are so small, it'd be kind of hard to. I think the shifter might be in the center there. I'm not really too sure, but this I think should be a little bit more red, this switch that my finger's touching, but at least it is the right shape and everything. But just an overall nice job with the center console and a center stack here. And I do like seeing all the different textures going on down here too. Super cool. These seats are also very well done. I'm trying to figure out how to show them because the doors kind of block them from view a bit. That's probably the best we're going to get from the side there. Nice overall look and shape. You have the seatbelt receivers down here. A nice texture going on. I think we'll just close the door a little bit, or we'll close the door and then we'll kind of get a better look at it like that. Yeah, but nicely done seats. You have kind of a carbon fiber texture just below the headrest, and they are done in kind of a two-tone black and saddle, just like you would see on the real Sian, which is very cool to see. I don't think you get actually, you do get seat belts. There's one right there. They're kind of very tucked away, and they're super hard to see at first, but I think Bburago does a good job of kind of including all these little extra details in the model, for sure. Then on the other side, on the driver's side, I should say, excellent job with the steering wheel as well. You have a nice texture on it, kind of like a leather pattern. And then for the paddles, and then for the paddle shifters, if I can get it focused a little bit here, they are also done in kind of a carbon fiber texture. And then on the other side, you do have those switches going on there too. And the gauge cluster is just a sticker, but at least it is the accurate look and shape. And then you do have silver painted pedals down here too. Awesome to see. And you even get kind of this like floor texturing in here too. Like it's not carpeting, but it's kind of a more, like it's kind of a different texture from the rest of the interior. So you can kind of stand out more. And then on the door sills, you do get the Sian inscription. These are just stickers, but at least Bburago like makes the effort of putting them in there. So I like how they did that. Go ahead and close these up. They're a bit hard to close at first. You have to kind of tuck it in like this and then let it click into place like that. For the undercarriage, you don't really have anything to see down here. It's all kind of covered, just like it would be on the real car, and this kind of carbon fiber textured base. And then you have the Bburago name down there as well. Overall, this is a really good budget model of a really kind of exclusive supercar. And if you collect supercar models or just Lamborghini models in general, I think this is kind of a must-have vehicle for your collection. This is definitely one of Bburago's better efforts, I think, in terms of recent models. And I kind of hope they continue with these finer details that we're seeing on this Sian with their future models, both with Lamborghini models that they might be coming out with soon and just other models in general. And if you can find this at Sam's Club or Costco or BJ's or any other wholesale club for under 20 bucks, definitely get it. It is an excellent deal for that price for sure. But I would gladly pay, you know, the $45 for it. It's definitely, I think, worth that much. And if you want, you know, a fully opening die-cast model of the Sian, this is definitely your best option because it does pack a ton of details into it for a pretty good price. So I hope this video was kind of a helpful look at this model, and feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.